So when former Toronto Blue Jay Jesse Jefferson passed away from prostate cancer a few years ago, some arguments started up in the press about the fact he may have been one of the worst starters in Blue Jay early history from 77 on, while other people said, a victim of bad luck and a bad team, and they had J.R. Richards style presence of being a big guy, 6 tree. But I basically believe that Jesse Jefferson deserves respect, and I tell you why. Now, Ernie Witt kind of talked a little bit about his religious kind of affiliation in his book, but it seemed more like bitter grapes than anything else. All I saw with Jesse Jefferson was a guy, you just give him the ball, and he would go out, pitch the best he could with a team that wouldn't give him any runs to him, and sometimes he'd go above and beyond. So we're going to talk about the career of Jesse Jefferson and how he ended up in Toronto and how he basically impressed a lot of people with his durability, especially in a couple of key games where he went well past the 9-inning stretch into legendary status. Now, Jefferson was originally drafted by the Baltimore Orioles in the 1968 Major League Baseball draft out of the great Carver High School of Midlothian, Virginia. Now, he went 40-50 with a 3.71 earned run average over 6 seasons in the Orioles farm system when he eventually debuted with the club in 1973. Now, in that contest, he pitched a 10-inning complete game in his first Major League start. In the second game of a doubleheader with the Boston Red Sox at Fenway, he nearly pitched a 5-hit shutout. Rico Petrocelli hit a solo home run to tie the score with 2 outs in the 9th inning, but the Orioles responded with a run to the top of the 10th to earn Jefferson to win. Now, Jefferson's rookie season was his only winning season, as he went 6-5 with a 4.11 ERA as a spot starter and middle-inning relief pitcher. Now, the Orioles did capture the American League East crown, and manager Earl Weaver had Jefferson slated to be his long reliever in the postseason, but he did not make an appearance in the 73 AL title event with the A's as Oakland dominated the series. Now, Jefferson moved into the bullpen in 74, making just 2 spot starts, both against the Red Sox. Now, in June 15, 75, he ended up with the White Sox because of a flurry of deals on June 15 of that year. They acquired left-hander Dave Hamilton in that 1975 transition and minor league prospect Chet Lemon from the Oakland A's for Stan Bonson and Skip Pollock, and then acquired Jefferson from the Orioles for Tony Muser. With the Chi Sox, Jefferson was moved back in the starting rotation, compiling a 5-9 record with a 5.10 ERA. He split the 76 campaign between starts in the bullpen before the Blue Jays, which were very impressed with his first major league seasons, decided to take him in the 76 MLB expansion draft, and they were probably looking at him to be a 3rd or 4th starter, and that's what he did in 77. He set numerous key career highs with the Blue Jays in 77, with 33 starts and 217 innings pitched. Now, despite setting a Blue Jay franchise record with 9 walks in a game against Baltimore on June 18th, Jefferson's strikeout to walk ratio was also career best 137, as he struck out 114 batters versus 83 walks. Now, according to CooperstownInCanada.com, which we've been quoting from extensively in recent podcasts, now he talked about the fact that Jesse Jefferson was a very, very unheralded player, a quiet player, and the right-hander was basically a player that filled a need in Toronto's lineup until whatever time is determined he would be the official 3rd or 4th starter, or someone could take his place. Now, he was, again, a mainstay in the Jays pitching staff from 77 to 80. That 9-7 record in 1977 included a 4.31 ERA, which is not too bad. And he also pitched 212 innings in 78. Now, on March 23rd, 78, he also set a team record by pitching a 12-inning complete game against the Boston Red Sox. He would, the hard-throwing righty would stifle the bats of Hall of Famers Jim Rice, Carl Yastrzemski, and Carlton Fisk to lead the Blue Jays to a 2-1 victory. Now, he had trouble holding his spot in rotation in 79 and 80, but would hurl an impressive 11-inning shutout against the Oakland A's on May 16, 1980, defeating the great Mike Norris, who would win 22 games that season. Now, longtime Blue Jay and Canadian baseball superstar Dave McKay said in published reports upon his passing that his teammate was a good person and a quiet man who just wanted to pitch. Just give him the ball and he would give whatever he had. Recall McKay. Now, the Jays would eventually release Jefferson in September of 1980, and he was picked up by the Pirates to finish out the season. In all, Jefferson pitched in 9 seasons from 73 to 81. He also suited up with the Angels. He attempted a comeback with the Angels AAA club in Edmonton in 1983, but would retire after just 3 appearances. Now, when he returned to his hometown of Midlothian, Virginia, where he worked as a garbage truck operator and a hunter in his spare time. Now, the father of Tree unfortunately passed away from prostate cancer, very virulent disease. 2011 was a bad year for Toronto fans because, Doug Ault and Roy Hartsfield also passed away that year. Not that year. He was the third original Blue Jay to pass away, Ray Hartsfield died in 2011, and Doug Ault, of course, we talked about before in 2004. Now, there was some question when I brought up the podcast about Mark Lemongello. I called him the worst Blue Jay pitcher of all time, and the guy basically who follows our channel said facetiously, well, what about Jesse Jefferson? I really can't say he was a bad pitcher because you got to look at this. With the Blue Jays, they're not going to score more than 3 or 4 runs a game, so he was basically asked to do what couldn't be done, which is basically hold the opposition to 2 runs every game. And the games he won, that's what he did. And the games he didn't win, most of his losses were on the road. He was never a bad pitcher. He was just pitching a good pitcher on a bad team. And any expansion team, I don't know of any Major League Baseball team in history did not have growing pains. But Jesse Jefferson, just like Jim Clancy, just like Dave Stieb later on, he was a starter that the fans looked up to. Many fans of Major League Baseball look at the Blue Jays at 77 as a work in progress. We don't judge it too harshly, and I can't judge Jesse Jefferson too harshly. But the Ernie Witt book that talks about Jefferson's faith, I don't recommend you reading the Ernie Witt book because I don't think a secondary catcher for an ALS team should be allowed to diss on his career where he's never going to be a Hall of Famer. Sure, he's Ernie Witt, but I mean, that's being the best bottle washer in Sweden. A lot of people drink beer in Sweden, but doesn't make him a genius. But at the time, Toronto had a Christian revival over a number of years. Jesse probably was caught up on that. He had Huntley Street and the different fundamentalist Christian groups. Nothing bad about that. If people find the Lord, it makes them a better player. Look at Bull Durham. They were making fun of him, but they weren't making fun of him at the end because he was a generally sincere person. And I think everything Jesse Jefferson did was sincere. He was sincere as a player, sincere as a family man, sincere as a Blue Jay, and he has my respect. I'm not here to diss Jesse Jefferson. I'm here to say thank you for what he gave to the Blue Jays because only he could have put up with some of those rotten games where, he had bad defense behind him and he had, impressive teams in the AL East. My God, they're lucky Toronto didn't lose 140 games that first season. It's a friggin' AL East. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. Have a good day. Bye.